Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Good day to all of you viewers from the beautiful city of Abuja. It is my pleasure to welcome you to today's edition of Money Radio, which is the National Economic segment, and we are broadcasting to you from the studio of Leadership Podcast. This is Money Radio, and we are discussing a topic today which is titled 2022 Budget Matters Arising. We agree it's an appropriate topic because on Friday last week, the President Muhammad Buhari, signed the 2022 budget into law. But there are some issues, and that is why the topic today is Budget 2022 Matters Arising. And in the studio to discuss that with me is Anthony Luko, our delectable Anthony Luko, and I'm your host, Case Hammer. So it's
thank you, and Happy New Year to all our viewers out there.
You said it on behalf of us.
Yes.
So, welcome viewers. So, 2022 budget. The president doesn't seem to be happy about the 2022 budget, which he signed into law on Friday. He is not happy because, number one, there are some issues he budgeted, or there are some projects he budgeted for, some especially capital projects. And you give it to President Buhari, he's keen on improving Nigeria's infrastructure. And so there are some infrastructural projects here to be put into the budget, which were reduced to a significant level based on, they were reduced by the National Assembly, and some other issues that are not capital, that are not infrastructure related were brought in, which President Buhari signed into law on Friday. If it's not because of the legacy he wants to leave by running that January 1st to December 31st budget, he may not have signed that budget on Friday, but he did because he wants the debt to remain sacrosanct. Yes, but he has indicated that he's going to send it back to the National Assembly for amendments, and that is where we are now. And just last night, if I'm not making a mistake, I was listening to the spokesman for the Senate, the Senate spokesman. Now, I've forgotten his name, but he was talking about the thing being a matter of understanding. So that understanding will get there. But what do you think about the budget generally?
Yes, first of all, I want to give it to the President Muhammad Buhari administration.
Yeah.
You know, for several years before now, Nigeria has been trying to get the budget back on track to a January to December fiscal year.
Yes.
But it was proving very, very difficult. In fact, it was as if it wasn't going to be possible.
Yeah.
But
at the time, let me just put in something there. Let me just insert something. At the time, the budget was being signed by July.
Yes.
Yes.
So the previous year's budget would have been operated for 7 months before the new year, that current year's budget will be signed. And you know, for the entirety of that period before the new budget is signed, the only thing that will be expended on will be the recurrent and overhead expenditure, and then nothing would be done concerning no capital project, none whatsoever. And then at the end of the day, even if in the new year, in the next year, they will now say, okay, we would extend the capital project. It is never the same.
Yeah.
At the long run, you find out that a good portion of the capital projects would have gone unimplemented. So I give it to this administration that in 2019, the Minister of Finance took it on herself and her team to ensure that Nigeria gets back on a January to December fiscal year. And that is what President Muhammad Buhari also demonstrated, like you said, wanting to ensure that that date remains.
Yeah.
And
kudos to President Buhari.
Yes, and so the budget was signed on the last working day.
Yeah, that was Friday.
Yes, of 2021. And here we have a budget, howbeit with some issues. So, of course, that already is a step in the right direction. However, the president has pointed out some issues, though they were not elaborate, but the Minister of Finance is going to do a budget breakdown later this week. So many of the issues that the president alluded to would be made, clarified. But what is immediately very obvious in the budget that was passed from the one that the executive sent to the National Assembly is that it has been increased by as much as 735 billion naira from the initial budget that was sent to the National Assembly. It was jacked up to 17.13 trillion, which is what the president signed on Friday, and also that is predicated on the rising crude oil, because the budget, the benchmark for crude oil was raised to $62 per barrel
from 57.
From
57.
Okay, from there. So that is, we see that though the National Assembly says that will not increase the deficit, or that is left for us to see as we progress.
Yeah, one worry I have about that budget, although the federal government has increased the budget, the National Assembly has increased the budget from 16.3 to 17.1, with the hope that the price of oil will be at least around 62 or more. It is plausible, yes, it is plausible that that budget will be, or that the price of oil, considering the fact that the scare about the Omicron variant, Omicron is not killing people, although it's more transmissible, it's more virulent, and it's not killing people. And that is why we see that the economies can still afford to remain open, albeit partially or fully, with some restrictions. The problem I have there is that Nigeria, although having Nigeria is a member of OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum and Exporting Countries. Nigeria is a member of that country, but Nigeria has her own quota of oil production, but Nigeria has not been able to meet up with that quota. It's supposed to be, Nigeria is budgeting at that $62 benchmark based on a 1.8 million barrels per day production, oil production. But as we speak today, the production of oil, daily production, is around 1.2, 1.3 million per day.
Yes.
So with that, we have a deficit there of up to 500,000 barrels. No, it's 500,000. No, 5 million. Sorry, I said it's 500,000. Yeah, 500,000, 500,000 to 600,000 under production.
Yes,
which we can say is going to, Nigeria will not be able to meet that target of revenue from oil based on that underproduction, which is what, if the PIB had not been delayed up to this time, we would have seen more investment. But because of lack of investment, we have underproduction, and that underproduction is going to have an impact on production of oil, which will make Nigeria not to meet that target of the expected revenue from oil. That's my fear about the whole issue. So when the National Assembly, I don't know what they intend to do to meet up with that or to beat that deficit. But when they are thinking about increase, the president sent 16.3 trillion, 16.3 trillion budget, and they jacked it up by 700 billion. So when they do that, you wonder what are they depending on. And so usually when things like this happen, we know that recurrent expenditure, you can't tamper with it because it has to do with people's salaries, overheads, and all other things. So what the deficit will actually remain on capital expenditure. That is what may not be met with all of this, that increased budget. That capital expenditure is always to suffer, not the recurrent expenditure. And that is my fear. When these people are increasing the budget, let them increase it with that reality or with realism. Let it be a realistic that we expect this so and so from this so and so. But if there's no way we can expect it, like we said, this is 16.3 to 17.127, and that it's a huge gap. So where is that money going to come from? That's my worry. So let's take a short break. I'm getting breathless. When we come back, we discuss more issues about this the budget.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
You're welcome back, viewers. We're still discussing the 2022 budget. In the studio with me is Anthony Uko, and I remain your host, Case Hammond. So it's with a 17.127 trillion naira budget. Where is that money going to come from?
Yeah, from the breakdown that was given, expenditure, the federal government is anticipating being able to total revenues in the neighborhood of 10 trillion. And before now, that had left a deficit of 6.3 trillion.
Yeah.
Which they expected to fund from debt, borrowing from the local and international markets. So much of the debt, by the time you put what besides the deficit of 6.3 trillion, there is they also made provision for debt servicing of about 3.8 trillion.
Yeah.
So by the time you put that together, you find out that that amount is already um, up to the revenue
Yes.
that is being expected.
From oil.
No, the revenue from oil is far below that 10 trillion that is.
The revenue from oil is going to be somewhere around 3 trillion.
Yes.
3.6 trillion or so.
Yes.
So
and you know,
all of what we expect from oil is going to actually going to go into
yes.
debt
So
servicing.
then you find out that in the past years, government has never realized its revenues on crude oil.
Yeah.
Like you rightly pointed out before we went on the break, Nigeria has always predicated the revenues from oil from a higher production output numbers than we've been able to meet in the past years. In fact, the data on ground indicate that the last time that Nigeria even came close to meeting its revenue, its crude oil production projection was in 2013. So all those years, and right now, the issue with this also is that the rig production, the number of rigs that is operational right now is down. And for the rigs, for Nigeria to be able to up its crude oil production, to be able to even measure up to that, to what it has proposed in the budget, many of the rigs that are not operational right now would have to be reopened. And reopening these rigs, finances are required. And this doesn't look as if the oil majors are in any haste
Yes.
to put in more money to reopen these rigs. In fact, many of them are trying to divest their investment from the onshore oil production operations. So rather than that being, it paints a rather pessimistic picture
Yeah.
for realizing the crude oil estimate that has been given. So what that indicates is that at the end of the day, there's going to be pressure, much more pressure to increase the level of borrowing.
Yes.
It means that this deficit that they have put down, if they are to get the funds, they will end up relying on more borrowing. And what does that leave for Nigeria, especially looking at the fact that currently total debt profile is at 38 trillion, and that is as at September. We've not factored in
The next
December.
time we get that figure, it may be around 42. It may be.
Yes, and analysts are projecting that by the end of this year, it should have hit 50.
Yeah. So we are actually, hey, this is serious. It is serious. So can we say that this budget is realistic?
Analysts have expressed worry over how realistic this budget is. But because over time, the Nigerian government has gotten away with not realizing its budget layout, its projections. And then at the end of the day, in as much as the president has said a lot of the spending will be, a lot of the capital projects is targeting to expend them on infrastructure. Those projects will be what suffers at the end of the day. Because like you pointed out, recurrent expenditure will go on as planned, salary has to be paid, overheads will also be expended accordingly. So at the end of the day, it means that the part of it that the masses should touch the life of the masses, like provision of infrastructure, roads, medical facilities, and all whatnot. That is the aspect that will be neglected, and the masses will end up not being the better for it.
You know, Nigerians are somewhere, based on World Bank estimation, Nigerians are somewhere in the neighborhood of 210 million. Of this population, the civil service constitutes just about 1 million thereabout. And we have 70-80% of the country's budget being expended on this recurrent expenditure, which is to that 1 million or so. Can we say, and of course, like you just rightly pointed out, much of what we call capital project is going to be neglected at the expense of recurrent expenditure. Can we say the budget is for the masses?
To a large extent, Nigeria's budget has hardly been.
Because when you see the masses, or you see the huge percentage of the masses actually driving on bad roads, needing Medicare, needing good education, and all of that, needing electricity and all of that, money is not being pumped into this. Into capital projects. Those are the people, that is the vast majority of Nigerians, that are suffering this issue of neglect of capital expenditure.
And at the end of the day, more debt will be piled up.
And these are the people that are going to
for
pay.
Generations yet unborn.
It is injustice.
Well, like you pointed out, the president is going back for an amendment.
Yes, President Buhari is a president of the people. I have that conviction that by this very move he's making, it shows that he's interested in the welfare of the masses.
Yes.
And for that, President Buhari deserves a commendation for that. That's the way we call it a day. On Money Radio, you have been on to the National Economy segment of the program. In the studio with me has been Mr. Anthony Uko, and I've been your host, Case Hammond. Mr. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Thanks to our producers, you can see them. Thanks to you mostly who follow us, and it's because of you this program is a success. And of course, we are here for you. Continue to tune into Money Radio. We are always here to give you the latest happenings in the Nigerian economy. Until then, stay safe. Go and get your vaccine. Stay blessed. Have a nice day. Happy New Year.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.